Is your family farm's future uncertain? Silence may be the biggest risk of all. Discover how open conversations and gradual planning can secure your legacy and empower the next generation. Don't wait, start the dialogue today. Learn more and download a transition planning checklist at fcc.ca/knowledge.
Okay, when we're talking about teamwork on the farm, one of the ways you do that is face to face. But of course, as farms get larger and more expansive, even in the case of some small farms, we're able to communicate like that. It can be kind of inefficient. One of the ways to get around that, of course, is radios. Nice stuff. And joining us right now is Kaylee Peterson. She's a radio safety manager with Midland. How are we doing today, Kaylee?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, we weren't able to connect at Farm Progress Show, which I very much regret. So I appreciate you us having Plan B here and you joining us here on Real Agriculture and Real Ag Radio. So let's talk about why would a farm want to install radio units in their operation?
There's several reasons a farm might want to have two-way radios on their operation. The first being, cell phone service. On a lot of farms, it's rural or it's, a little bit farther outside of town. So cell phone service can be spotty or unreliable. So something like a two-way radio doesn't rely on cell phone service. So you have that clear communication. You don't have to worry about waiting on text to go through or dropped calls. The other reason is instant push-to-talk communication. Similarly, cell phones, you do have to, pick it up, dial it, or, go through your contacts to find someone or send them a text, where two-way radios, you just push a button and you can instantly reach the entire operation at once. And not only is that more efficient, but it's also a safety aspect, right? So you're not fumbling around while you're driving the combine looking for your phone or trying to find that contact. You can just grab your radio and instantly reach everyone all at once.
And you don't have to worry about, like, we know across rural North America, there is major issues with cell coverage, right? And this gets around that. That's just on that fact alone, it makes a lot of sense.
For sure. It's just really reliable, right? You always know that your radio is going to work. And, in terms of efficiency, also, a cell phone, you can reach, one person at a time unless you're, shooting off a text to the group chat. But with radios, if everyone's on the same channel, you can just reach everyone at once. So you're not playing telephone and everyone's on the same page and in sync.
Makes a lot of sense. And the best part is maybe give yourself a call sign.
Yes, that's the coolest part.
Yeah, actually, the farm that I grew up, we had radios on our farm, and everybody had a number. So we didn't go by names, but everybody had like a, hey, number 3, do you check? Like, that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, it's just fun doing that, period. What are some of the options? Because I'm assuming there are different models, different systems. So let's maybe run through that, and some of the audience can okay, that makes sense for me, or it doesn't.
Yeah, so Midland is known kind of as the first CB radio manufacturer in the United States, right? So those are those famous big clunky radios that you probably saw in the 70s in pop culture and whatnot. But that technology is still around, right? And Midland still sells CB radios, but it's kind of being replaced by a new type of radio called General Mobile Radio Service, which is also GMRS. And while CB has a max power of 4 watts under law, in the United States, a GMRS radio can go up to 50 watts. So you just think about 50 versus 4 watts in terms of power. And with power comes greater range, right? So that's more ideal for a farm setting where you have these large pieces of land and are spread out, and you might have obstructions like trees or rolling hills. So that's great. And then also GMRS operates on the FM mode. So CB is on the AM mode, which is why you have that famous CB static, right? That you probably saw in those same TV shows and movies that I was just mentioning. But GMRS is on the FM mode, so it's a lot clearer. So you don't have to worry about that static. So that's another great pro to that. Also, some farms might have like a business band radio, but with business band radios, that a lot of farms use, you have to like rent out a frequency and it just gets really expensive. So GMRS is like a one-time purchase. And then you just get your license with the FCC. It's $35, good for 10 years, and it covers the whole immediate family, which is great for farms because a lot of them are family run. And it's not like a test or anything. You just apply and you usually get it within 24 to 48 hours.
Now, some of the audience may be like, okay, wait a minute here. So when I think FM signal, at night doesn't go as far. Is that an issue here with the radios?
No, as long as you have the right radio, you're good to go and the right antenna system as well. So Midland has several different options, right? We have the handheld walkie-talkies, which are great for moving around the farm or being in the field. But then we also have our higher powered micromobiles, which you can install as a base unit in like the shed or garage or even at your house. But more realistically, we see them, or more often than not, we see them installed in vehicles. So semis, combines, pickup trucks, 4x4s that you have around the farm. And then you have an antenna that goes with that so that it can stretch across the entire, distance of the farm. But you just have a lot of different options and they work together so you can kind of build out your own communication system that works best for your farm.
Very cool. And probably some of them come with like where you can get a headset? You don't even need to be, mic check, check, check. You're just doing it through a headset?
Yes, we do have headsets for a lot of our walkie-talkies, and then some of them have Vox hands-free activation, so you can kind of just keep that on, so then you don't have to worry about doing the push to talk.
Very cool. So when we're talking 50 watts compared to 4, and I'm assuming, there's environmental things that make up a difference here, but just regular, like what kind of range are we talking from a mile perspective?
Yeah, as you said, it does depend on line of sight and different obstacles that you may come in contact with, but we generally say anywhere from 10 to 25 miles with those.
Wow.
And the nice thing, if you do have a larger farm, is you can get a repeater, and a repeater kind of acts as a middle point, a middleman, so to speak. And as long as each radio can reach that repeater that a lot of people install in the silos of their farm, then your range is significantly improved.
Yeah, there's some real safety aspects to this, especially, when we're in moving equipment and, texting the group chat, sometimes safe, sometimes probably not. Being able to talk to the group and the team at one time, I think provides a lot more clarity on communication, and it's safer.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And it's not even just about, your personnel safety, right? Because if something does, come up, or someone has an accident or someone gets hurt, but also you can easily reach and let each other know where you're at in the field. But it's also about, your equipment or your livestock safety as well. So, you might be operating an auger and have someone behind you or in front of you, and they can let you, know where you're at. A lot of those country roads are narrow, so you just don't want to hit anything or worry about power lines becoming an issue. So it's great for your equipment safety, but then also for livestock, so that if you're out in the field and maybe, calf escapes or something, you're able to reach everyone all at once instantly.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Hey, Kaylee, really appreciate you joining us here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
We'll be back with more of Real Ag Radio here on Rural Radio 147 Sirius XM right after this quick break.